Hello, my name is inititally, and you are listening to The Heart of You. If you are interested in working with me in person, you now have the opportunity with Soul Discovery Workshop. We will spend 2 days discovering your spiritual gifts, unlocking your abilities to channel, to really tap into your intuition, to meet your guides and your angelic team, as well as diving in to the Akashic records. If you are interested and you are in the Huntington Beach, LA area, or even if you're not and you feel like taking a short trip, please head to my website at infinitesoullove.com and you can head to the store. Right there, you will find the Soul Discovery Workshop, which is September 16th and 17th, 2023. Hello, everyone, and I hope you have had an amazing week. I know that some of you out there have had a bit of a challenging week, and the reason why I know this is because I can always tell when there are some collective energies that are wreaking havoc because I get calls from my clients who are in a panic or they need an emergency session or there's something going on. And so this week I had a lot of that going on. So there were a lot of people reaching out and asking for assistance because something was going on, right? So obviously, when things like this happen, it really just depends on your individual situation as to how you're feeling and how the energies are hitting you. So, for example, for me, this energy hit me a little bit over 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And for me, it sort of manifested in a way of doubt on the twin flame journey. So because that's sort of the place where I always have to do my work. And what ended up happening was I got into that space of, oh, this person who I thought was my twin, he's definitely not my twin. He's just some person who triggered my spiritual awakening, and that's it, because clearly that person is not in my life at this time. And it's been 10 years and, like all of the things. So that's how it came up for me. Now, the difference is that because I've done a lot of my inner work, it didn't faze me. Like, even though that was me sort of partly in my wounding, it was also me saying, you know what, like I'm cool to, let that go or potentially move on. Right. And then the signs started happening. So then my guides started giving me signs of my twin and that kind of thing. So basically they were like, the definition of a twin flame is actually somebody who is very much connected to you, who triggers your spiritual awakening. So it's not to say that a soulmate or somebody else can't trigger a spiritual awakening. That certainly can happen. But for my particular case, they basically sort of tapped me on the shoulder, like, look, he's your twin, but like just right now you have to deal with the reality that he's not in your life. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's, all right, I can handle that. So we go through these ebbs and flows of, these various different peaks and valleys and all of the things that we go through as we are really kind of almost testing ourselves as to how far along we are on our journey. Often these challenging times can really show us exactly where we need to look and where we need to do more work, right? So if you had a similar feeling to wanting to abandon the twin flame journey, or if you've had this similar feeling of, even if you're not on a twin flame journey, just like, bolting or running away from somebody or really feeling scared about something, then that's exactly where you need to look within your inner child, within your subconscious, and all of that, right? So I'm going to actually ask the guides sort of like what has been happening and what has been going on for the last couple of weeks energetically, because clearly it's something that is happening collectively. But then also, while you're listening to the channel, definitely kind of go within and ask yourself, where are the places in which you personally need to do the work? Because like I said, we can have these collective energies, we can really have them affect us, but it is going to hit everybody differently based on what you're working on. So keep in mind that these things happen sometimes in waves or in different stages. When I talk about the healing process, I talk about it as a giant funnel. So when you're at the top of the funnel, you may come back to your starting point over and over and over again, because that is how the healing works. But when you're at the top of the funnel, it's a longer journey to get back to that starting point. Whereas if you're at the bottom of the funnel, it takes a very short amount of time, right? So that's something to remember with the healing process. So if you're dealing with something that you have been dealing with for quite some time, you're like, God, I thought I healed this and this is coming back. Yes, it is coming back because there's still more of it to heal. But also look at how long it took you to heal from it the last time. And how long are you in it this time? And what tools do you have? What new tools do you have to work through that? So that's really important for you to keep in mind, is how long it takes you to get through a particular piece of healing, because that shows your growth. Okay, so I'm going to get into the channel right now. So my question for my guides are as follows. I'm curious about what energies are happening right now that are sort of wreaking havoc on people. And then also if they have any messages for us as a collective for this particular week coming up. Anyone want to step in? Anyone want to give me the messages? Why are you guys not coming? Because you're asking the wrong questions. You want me to ask different questions? Yes. Okay. What would you like me to ask? Ask about their wounding, about why it's coming up. Okay. So what they're showing me is, so I was having a hard time actually connecting to somebody who would give me the answers. I was connecting to my guides and my guides were like, nah, we're not going to answer that question right now. And I asked Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, they're both like, nah, not the right question. I'm like, okay, cool. So they're guiding me to the right question. And the right question is, what is it about your wounding right now that is coming up? So in other words, why is this particular wounding coming up at this particular time? They're saying, yes, this is the right question. Okay, got it. The reason why your wounding is coming up at this particular time is because you haven't worked through some of the things that you've needed to work through for some time. Now, if you can imagine your wounding almost like the air in a balloon, and it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the balloon eventually pops. And that is what has been happening here for you who is listening right now, that there have been things that you haven't been addressing. There are things that you haven't been looking at within yourself, wounding that you may not even be aware of consciously, that is coming up to the surface to be dealt with and to be realized, integrated, and witnessed. The challenge is when something is in the subconscious, it can stay there for quite some time without you addressing it or dealing with it in any way. The energies right now are in fact supportive of that. So oftentimes people talk about the energies as being challenging, and the energies in fact are not challenging as of now. They are in fact very supportive, and what they are supportive of is bringing up those things from the past that are still sitting around in your energetic field and allowing them to rise to the surface to be cleared. And that is what is happening here. So in other words, you may have had several little balloons full of that wounded energy, and they just got bigger and bigger and bigger until the right energies came along, and then boom, they just burst. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there with all of your pain and all of your guilt and shame and lower energies because you had not dealt with that wound for so long. Now, oftentimes it is not necessary for you to know where that wound came from or what happened. This is where a lot of you in the awakened community disagree with each other, because some people decide that you don't need to look at the past and some people decide that you do. And the reality of it is you both are right, because it depends on the person. When somebody is able to just let go without needing the context, without needing to know what happened, and they are easily able to let that go, that is something that can happen, and they don't need to look at the past. That also has to do with your particular energy signature as well. If your energy signature is one, as you would say, like Teflon, where you don't hold on to things very, very tightly, you allow things to just sort of glide off of you, then you are one of those people that you don't necessarily need to look at the past in order to move forward, in order to integrate the emotions, in order to integrate that wounding within you and accept it for what it was and then move forward. And there are other energetic signatures, such as you transmuters out there, who you do have to dive into your past, because that is what you do. You dive into those darker energies to then transmute them. So you almost have to swim in them. You have to swim in those darker energies in order to be able to transmute them. So it really does depend on the person. There is no one size fits all for everything in terms of how you move forward in your healing. This is why there are so many different practitioners out there and so many different people that you can resonate with, because not everybody is going to resonate with everyone. And so we need so many more healers out there to be able to connect with each person in their wounding and meet them where they are. We encourage you to seek help. We encourage you to talk to other people that are like-minded, who are like-hearted, who are in that same energetic space as you are, to be able to help you through what it is you're going through. Now, we understand these situations can be tough to go through, especially if you're going to the core of the wounding that you're addressing. Sometimes the outer layers can be a little easier than the inner core of whatever you're dealing with. But know this, the second you are able to pull the weed out from the root, that is when you will be truly free to create and move forward in your life in a way that is aligned for you. So dive into this work and dive into it happily, even though you might be in pain. Go into this work knowing that on the other side, there is going to be a space for you to be able to create the happiness, the joy, the alignment, and the purpose that you desire. If you are looking outside of yourself for the energies and saying, oh, it's the energies that are harsh, and you blame it on the energies, this is why we asked Annette to change the question at the beginning of this channel, because it's not about the energies. It is about you. It is about you and where you are, not about whether or not the energies are harsh or supportive or not. Because if the energies were harsh, then you would just blame it on the energies and then move forward and not actually look at the wounding inside. We need you to stop looking outside of yourself and blaming whatever is outside of yourself for what is happening within. What is happening within is exactly what it sounds like. It's happening within. And there's no amount of outside anything that's going to be able to satiate, help, or clear that if you are always looking outside of yourself. And we've talked about this before when it comes to addictions, when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to smoking, phones, screen time, video games, television. all of the things that are addictive behaviors that you have as humans, all those behaviors do is take you away from you. Now, it is not to say that you are not meant to do any of these things. It is that if you are doing them only 10% of your time of your day, then that's not going to be as detrimental to you in terms of your day-to-day energy versus if you are on your phone 20 hours a day. So make sure you're checking in with yourself. This is why people talk about the practice being important. The practice itself can be whatever you want it to be, whatever you choose it to be. Whether it is reading a book, whether it is getting new information about how the healing process works, going into meditation, working with a practitioner, going to yoga, whatever it is that you are doing to be able to go within and to be able to dig out the roots of those wounds, that should be part of your daily practice. It is not simply about clearing your mind and being mindful and in the present moment. Yes, sure, that is a beautiful thing to do. But it is also about doing the hard work, which is going within. We will challenge you to spend time with yourself and with your wounding every day for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, whatever feels right for you, whatever works for you. But maybe do an assessment. So 5 minutes in the morning when you wake up, look at the day you had prior to that. Identify the places in which you were annoyed, angry, saddened, frustrated, feeling guilt or shame, any sort of lower or negative energy. Identify the places in which that happened for you the day before. And then take a look at why that happened. The more you do this practice, the more you're going to open up your heart space to be able to say, yes, I'm open to seeing these things, to seeing each one of these parts of myself. I'm not willing to hide any more parts of myself anymore. I am willing to fully be open-hearted and see every part of my soul, my body, my consciousness, my wounding, my faults, my flaws, all of it. And I'm going to give each one attention and I'm going to give each one love. That is what the inner work is about. So yes, you may go through challenging times like you are right now in this moment. But no, this is just a small piece of the grander picture of what is meant to happen. So move through this piece with as much grace as you can. And even if you can't, that's okay too. Scream and shout, be frustrated, and then come back to center. Come back to love. And if you need to repeat that, go ahead. We are always here for you, your spirit team, your spirit guides, your angels, your archangels, your higher beings, your ascended masters, all of us, we're all here. You do not have to do this alone. Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else? No, not at this time. Okay, so that was a very important, I feel like, healing message, because we go through these sort of stages of healing, and when you're in the thick of it, gosh, it's really, really hard. It's hard. It's hard to go through. So definitely ask for help. Don't avoid it. Don't let the balloon just explode and then allow another balloon to be filled up with the same wound. Allow yourself to move through it, because once you do, and that wound is completely cleared, you don't ever have to revisit it again after it's been looked at from all the different angles and cleared from all the different spaces. And then it's gone for good. And then you can either help other people get through their own wounding, or you can just simply move forward in grace and gratitude for the next phase of your life. I hope this was super helpful for you. I really hope that this gives you a little bit of encouragement for what you may be going through at this time. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me. You can always reach me at infinitesoullove.com. And I look forward to chatting with you next week. Have an amazing day and never stop exploring your soul, because it is the most important relationship you will ever have. If you are interested in learning more about me and the sessions that I do, feel free to go to my website at infinitesoulllove.com.
On all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Infinite Soul Love 1111.
Hey, and if you feel called, I would love it if you could rate The Heart of You on whatever streaming service you're using, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please take a moment, give it a review. It really does help the channel. Thanks so much.